Hi everyone, welcome to another live session of Stocks by Request. We're doing a midnight session now because I just landed a couple of hours ago. So uh, I'll be I'll be analyzing some of the stocks that you sent a couple of weeks ago, a couple of days ago. So for those that are awake, I hope this helps you. For those who are, I guess, sleeping already, we'll have these videos posted also in my Facebook page. So you'll be able to at least review them later on in the next few hours. So let's wait for a couple of minutes for those who are just still trying to see this video. But I'll be analyzing SMC as well because this was one of the first stocks requested also, and it was something that we talked about in Stock Smart Singapore just a couple of days ago. So first things first, let's check out SMC. By the way, all of this are all viewed from live charts. I'm all just analyzing it now as we go. So the main goal and the main hope of all of this is to encourage more of you that you can actually trade the markets with ease and confidence. Also that you can actually do this on your own. Also that stock market trading and investing is possible. So I hope that it encourage more and more Filipinos to actually invest, especially that we have a growing market. We now have more people tuned in, people from Kuwait and Abu Dhabi already tuned in. So I see your request. No, Midori's asking for DD, Kenneth asking for CPG, Eugene's asking for this. So we'll try to accommodate as much stocks as we can. John Ray's asking for FNI and X. Acknowledge on all of those things. We'll post first the first stocks that were requested initially in the past stocks by request. So number one of the most battered stocks is PLDT. Uh, as of now, still we still don't have any buy signal for the stock. The stock is still relatively bearish and it's still headed towards a steep downtrend still. So you have to remember that it needs to have a positive push for it to actually start going upward. Looking at the chart of PLDT, the short-term resistance now is at 1,333. The stock also just broke down again with a very, very strong movement downward as well. So avoid this stock first. We have no buy signals for the stock. Next, we're talking about ferro-nickel. Ferro-nickel, on the other hand, over the mid to long term, is still relatively bullish for the mid to long term. We don't have a sell signal yet for mid to long term traders. However, for short term traders already, the drop from 3.76, 3.77 is already a signal for you to take profits as well. Over the short term, I repeat, FNI is already a sell. The fact that it did not break out from 4.12 levels, 4.13 levels is already an indication that they're selling in that area. However, FNI also can range from 3.6 to around 4.12. But if you're a person who's following short-term movements, we have a sell already for the stock as well. Good evening to a lot of people who are tuned in. We have a lot of people also from the Middle East that are tuned in now. For those who are asking for schedules there, we don't have a schedule yet for 2017, but I'll update you for the next schedules that we will have in that area. No. Next one is Golden Haven, which got over 200 plus votes the past few days. Golden Haven also experienced a breakout 5 days ago after breaking out of 13.914 peso price range. The thing about that is the indicators are also showing that the stock has relatively turned bullish over the short and mid-term. Indicators are showing also movements upward. However, we're seeing a resistance at around 14.9 pesos per share. We need the stock to break out of 14.9 to actually see it trend higher as well. For SMC, for those from Singapore, this is one of the stocks we analyzed that broke out last Friday. I'm sure you're watching it break out already. A classic movement that we all have a lot of the oscillators showing you that the stock is bullish. As of this point, we don't have a sell signal. For SMC, you can hold the stock first. No sell signals yet, no reversals also. Clayton, who's asking for a shout out, hello to you. So SMC, no sell signal yet. You can hold the stock for short-term and medium-term movements upward as well. Next, let's look at Ayala Land. Ayala Land, on the other hand, is one of the stocks already that has experienced a lot of selling over the past few days, but it has bounced back from a support that protected it at around 30.6, 30.7. So now the short-term movement for Ayala Land could bring it to around 34.15 pesos per share. I repeat, the bounce from 30.6 can now bring Ayala Land to around 30.14, 30.15, but it also has a resistance at 33.4. So the stock though is still bearish over the mid to long term. For position traders, we don't have any buy signals yet for the stock. What we're seeing now is just a knee-jerk reaction from it being oversold over the short term. So I hope this helps you. The strongest resistance for Ayala Land would be around 36.5. If the stock breaks out of 36.5, we might actually see it reverse and trend even higher. Next, another one that's been requested over the past few days, is Alliance Global. Alliance Global, on the other hand, has over the midterm, if you look at Alliance Global from a stretch perspective, from the start of January this year, it's moved sideways with a range of 12.5 to 16.7 or 16.75. If you look at it as well, the stock is just bounced also from the support at 12.4, 12.5 pesos per share. But over the long term, the stock is relatively bearish still. However, should the bounce occur from 12.5, we might see the stock move up with an upside target of around 14.65 pesos per share. So from the bounce from 12.5, if it goes up to 14.6, it's a 17% upside. Another resistance to watch out for is 13.17. It should go above 13.17 if you want the stock to go back to 14.6 pesos per share. We have Onej Ito, who's from Doha. Hello to you. Sakto, what you requested. The next stock that we're gonna analyze is also Pure Gold. Hello to everyone who's from Doha, Qatar as well. Pure Gold. Pure Gold. Where's Pure Gold? By the way, to those who are asking for analysis on Shell, I'll be making a video in YouTube. You can subscribe to my channel. A lot of the stocks by request will be here on Facebook, but a lot of the canned videos are on YouTube, so you can subscribe there if you want more updates on it as well. Pure Gold is trying to form a short-term base at around 39 pesos per share. I'll repeat, Pure Gold is trying to establish a short-term base at 39 pesos per share. However, the stock over the mid to long term is still bearish. We don't have any evidence yet pointing the stock is already reversing upward. If the stock breaks down from 39, the stock could retrace down further to around 36 or 35 pesos per share. Short-term retracement though could bring the stock to 37.6. I'll repeat it. If the stock does not hold above 39, it can go down to 37.6. If it does not hold 37.6, it can go down to around 36. It can go down to around 36 pesos per share over the short term. The bias for the stock is it's relatively bearish as of this point. However, if it breaks out or bounces from 39, we might see the stock go up to around 41 pesos per share as of the moment. So for position traders, we don't have any buy signal yet. For quick traders, watch out from the bounce of 39. If it bounces from 39, it can go to 41. If it breaks down from 39, the landing spot lower would be 37.6 to as low as 36 pesos per share. So I hope that helps you. The next stock that we're looking at is, let me check. The next stock that we're looking at is Mega World. So as for Mega World, by the way, has been, as always, been very volatile. So for those who are trading the stock, it's a good exercise. It's a good practice for you to trade stocks that have high betas, high volatility, which would allow you to practice those swings from support and resistance. Mega World over the mid to long term is still on a downtrend. The stock is still relatively bearish. We don't have a buy signal yet for our position traders. For quick traders though, the stock is relatively oversold already. It hit oversold levels a couple of days ago. The support for quick traders would be around 3.6 and the resistance is at 3.9. So a bounce from 3.6 would bring the stock from 3.9. As what you've seen 2 trading days ago, the stock hit 3.88 and selling started to happen. So it's a very thin range for Mega World. This is just represents around 6-7%. So depending on your capital and your trading plans for the stock as well. So let me fix that first. Oopsie. Sorry about that. Sorry. Next stock is URC as well. Let's talk about URC and Ayala Land, Ayala Corporation. I mean, Universal Rubina Corporation. There you go. URC. It over the short term is still bearish. URC over the short term is bearish. Its long and mid-term movement is also bearish. What you're seeing now is it hit a resistance at around 180 pesos per share. It's also retracing back to 167. So what you're seeing now is a short-term movement from it hitting the resistance of 180. So here's what you need to consider. If the stock bounces from 167, if the stock bounces from 168, we may expect URC to go back and move from 167 to 180 pesos per share over the short term. But for mid to long term traders, the stock, though from a mid to long term perspective, is still bearish. The strongest support or resistance we're seeing here is around 194 pesos per share. So for position traders, we have no buy signal yet. For quick traders, respect the 168 179 range. A breakout from 179 or 180 would bring the stock as high to around 186 pesos per share. If it does not hold 167, and it should it break down, it might be a very, 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 very steep drop for it, as the next support level for the stock is around 156, 155 pesos per share. So again, technical analysis is very useful as a way for you to find strategic areas on how you can, how do I put this? Strategic areas on how you can manage your risk. Your goal is to minimize your losses should it break down, and your goal is to ride and maximize your gains should the stock continue to go up over the long term. And I'm glad now we have over 100 viewers, even if it's midnight right now. It's amazing. Happy Bonifacio Day to everyone also. The goal of this is you get to analyze stocks better, and you also get to trade better as well. Next stock that we're gonna look at is AgriNurture. AgriNurture has got around 100 plus votes as well since everyone sent in their charts last Monday. AgriNurture, let me check this out. Okay, AgriNurture, looking at it from a chart perspective, started to break out from the long term just a couple of days ago. It broke out from the long-term support range, resistance at around 4. So here's the thing: if AgriNurture stays above 4, we can possibly expect the stock to go even higher as well. So as long as it stays above 4, possible target price for it over the short term could bring it possibly to either as high as 4.7 to as high as around 5.2. I'll repeat it. AgriNurture stays above 4. The breakout will lead it to 4.7 to as high as 5.2. As you've seen it yesterday or a trading day ago, there's a resistance forming at 4.7. So if it fails to break out from 4.7, it could possibly go back down to 4.1 or 4. However, if it breaks out from 4.7, the breakout will be at 5.2, and the stock will remain bullish still as long as it stays above 4 pesos per share. So that's it for Agri-Nurture. For ABSCBN, the stock is still relatively bearish, short, mid, and long term. We don't have a buy signal for both position trading and quick trading. The stock just also broke down from the support at 45.8 pesos per share. So for us to see at least an upward movement in the stock, it has to go above 45.8 pesos per share for the stock. Okay, this is one special request to Mr. De Armas. We've already talked about AGI. You can just go back to the video again for AGI, but we'll try to answer Bloom and NIKL Asia as well. For Bloomberry, the stock over the short term just broke a support range at around 6.4 pesos per share. So at 6.4 pesos per share, for those who are quick traders, we now have a sell signal for the stock. I repeat, for quick traders, for Bloom, we have a sell signal because of the break at 6.4. The stock may range though from 6.2 to around 6.8 over the short term. So for those who bought Bloom at the breakout at 5, quick traders now have a chance to actually sell. You can now take profits. For mid to long term traders, we don't have a sell signal yet for Bloom. Again, if the stock does not hold 6.2, you can expect the stock to go down to around 5.7 or 5.8 over the short term. Next, let's look at NIKL Asia. NIKL Asia, on the other hand, is now showing first signs of resistance already. We have the resistance peg at around 8.7 for the short term. Some oscillators are now showing downward momentum, meaning short-term traders can actually now take this time to actually take profits as well. So for those trading relatively quicker time frames, NIKL Asia could be a sell already. One thing you need to consider is the resistance at 8.7, 8.8. Probably if the stock continues its downward motion for the short term, it could possibly go down to around 8 pesos or 7.9 pesos per share. For mid-term traders, position traders, the stock is still pretty much bullish over the long term and short term. So we have no sell signal for you guys. Again, the downward movement for the short term for NIKL Asia is also brought about by the stock being overbought already from its previous run over the past few days. So trade your stocks well. Then next is, let's look at Surpass. Surpass has been pretty much battered down over the past few weeks. The stock is still bearish. No buy signals for position traders. No buy signals also for long-term traders. The stock will become bullish again once it breaks out from 15.3 pesos per share. So it must break out from 15.3 to become bullish over the long term. However, in a short-term perspective, the stock is at a very, very thin range. It's moving from 9.12 to around 10.27, but this represents also a 13.9 peso trade already for those who would want to trade that particular range. So the bounce from 9.12, you can buy if it holds 9.12 and sell at around 10.27 or 10.3 pesos per share. And this is already around 14. This is already around 14% gain for all of you. Let's look at SM Prime Holdings. SM Prime Holdings midterm is still bearish. The strongest support though for the stock could be seen at around 25.7 pesos per share. Midterm, short term, the stock is bearish. Long term, the support that will protect the stock from falling is around 25.7. However, if 25.7 does not hold, no, if 25.7 does not hold, the stock can go as low as 24.25 over the short term. If it bounces from 26, I believe SMPH can go to as high as 26.5 to around 27.2 over the short term as well. So if your play is buying stocks that bounces, consider the strongest support to be around 25.6 for this stock as well. Let's look at its parent company, SM. SM, on the other hand, is pretty much bearish, short, mid, and long term. oscillators are showing also bearishness in the stock. The stock though is oversold, so for those who would want to try to make a quick trade in the stock, it is already forming a quick short-term base at around 622 pesos per share. So short-term traders take advantage of the stock being oversold. A bounce from 622 could lead the stock back up to 650 pesos per share. So this is around 5% trade. Not so high, but try to see if it fits your trading plan. Next stock is Globe. By the way, for those who are in Manila, just a quick plug. Our last Stock Smart sessions will be this December 3 and December 10. We're going to teach you the same way of how I do things, how we analyze the chart, so you get to trade with confidence and with conviction. So I hope whatever I say here is not something that you just take and you follow, but by what I say, I hope that you would trade based on what you study, because the best place for you to be in when you study and invest in the market and to make money is you get to decide things on your own with your own conviction. And that's the heart of Stock Smarts, is that we want to teach you that you get to live and trade at your own terms, that you don't have to listen to hype or speculation for you to make money as well. So December 10 will be technical analysis, fundamental analysis, and December 17 would be our year-end event where we talk about the top 10 stocks for 2017, where I have friends that are fundamental analysts, fund managers, and economists who will give their interpretations on which stock will be beneficial for you if you're an investor for 2017. Anyways, Dennis Dino asking for SMC. You can just backtrack the video. We talked about SMC already. Let's look at GT Capital. GT Capital also bearish for the short term, bearish for the mid to long term. It's forming a support at around 1,120. So the bounce from that will lead the stock to around 1,242, 1,250 pesos per share. So if you're a person who would, again, the key theme right now is either you find stocks that are moving in a counter trend to the market, just like what NIKL is doing, just like what FNI is doing, just like what Bloom is doing, just like what SMC is doing, and you just ride those uptrends, or you look for stocks that are heavily beaten and they would bounce back from the support levels. If that's your game, buying heavily beaten stocks, you better be sure that you just make a quick trade, buy them at support and sell them quickly, so that you just maximize the irrationality of the market. I'm telling you this, that in spite of the market being bearish, money can still be made. You can still take profits, and you can still earn regardless if the market in general is moving down. So that's what's happening to GT Capital. Again, I'll repeat, GT Capital, it's bearish over the short term, mid-term, and long term. For those who want to make money off of it, it's just you buying it from oversold levels and the bounce. The support is around 1,120, and the resistance over the short term is 1,242 pesos per share. Now let's look at Globe Telecoms. Same theme, pretty much battered, bearish over the short, mid, and long term. Its support is around 1,337. The bounce there will lead the stock to around 1,490, 1,450. So what you're seeing now from Globe is a stock approaching its very, very short-term resistance. Here's the thing about that. If it breaks out from 1,490, 1,500, the next target price for Globe is 1,750 pesos per share. I repeat, if Globe breaks out from 1,490 or 1,500, it will break out to around 1,745 pesos per share. So trade it well. Some oscillators are showing that the stock is already showing some movements upward, but the long-term trend is still bearish as well. Next stock, we've got a lot of requests also for now. Now, from the short, mid, and long-term perspective, is also bearish, similar to a lot of the stocks in the market. What will make now bullish is if it breaks out from 2.7. That will be the reversal for the stock. So position traders that want to come in, respect the reversal and the breakout from 2.7. However, the stock for short and quick traders, we have a support at around 2. That's what we've seen also, that it has bounced from 2 pesos per share. and it's now approaching the resistance at around 2.45. So I repeat, for those who bought at 2, the stock could possibly go up further to 2.45. If it breaks out from 2.45, the next target price for the stock will be at the longest resistance at around 2.7. If the stock does not break out from 2.45, quick traders, you may now take profits as well. That's a relatively good trade also for you guys, and so congratulations, it's a 23%, 22% trade already for those who positioned with now. Next, we'll probably do 5 more stocks. I ranked a lot of the stocks that you requested. Again, for those who just tuned in now, we've analyzed a couple of stocks from SMC, from Ayala Land, from Ayala Corp, to Globe, and you can just backtrack and see the stocks after the video is posted live. I'll also be posting this in YouTube, so a lot of the videos that we do Facebook Live on will be in YouTube, so you can just check it out there later on as well. Next, okay, next stock that we'll analyze is also one of the most requested, Double Dragon. Over the past, you all know, over the past few months, Double Dragon had performed very well, bringing the stock to around 80. But since June this year, the stock also started to go sideways. People have been joking that it's double dead and it's been going nowhere. However, something happened just 3 or 4 trading days ago. The stock now, for the first time, also broke down from a very, very strong resistance. So now, what I'm seeing now here is the stock is now bearish for the short, mid, and long term. We're now, this Double Dragon is also experiencing a downward movement for the stock. We're seeing oscillators pointing that the stock is relatively bearish. The short-term target price, should the breakdown continue, is, I think, Double Dragon may go down to as low as 40 pesos per share. Again, the downside momentum may bring the stock down to 40 pesos per share. On a fundamental perspective, Double Dragon is pretty much overpriced still. In spite of it dropping from 80 to where it is now, the stock is pretty much overvalued. And for those who are position traders, we don't have any buy signal for the stock as well. Next stock that we're going to analyze is Del Monte. Del Monte is floating and trying to hold up against the 11.85 support level. I repeat, Del Monte is trying to hold up the 11.85 support level. It probably will range from 11.85 to around 12.4 pesos per share. So for quick traders who would want to trade Del Monte, it's a 5% range, 11.8 to around 12.4 trade for you. The stock over the short term, though, is relatively bearish, though. Next stock is we're gonna look at three stocks from the letter C. First one is Cebu Pacific. A lot of people have been requesting Cebu Pacific over the short to mid term. Cebu Pacific is still in a downtrend. Cebu Pacific is bearish. However, good news for a lot of people, it's now approaching the strongest support, which is around 100 pesos per share. Should Cebu Pacific stay above 100? Should Cebu Pacific hold above 100? I believe it stays bullish for the long term still. And it can bounce. A bounce from 100 could bring the stock to as high as 107 to around 110 pesos per share. So for those following Cebu Pacific, if it bounces from 100, possibly it still has a shot to reverse and still go up. But over the mid to long term, over the midterm and short term, we're seeing downward momentum for the stock. What will bring it up is it's oversold as of this point, and let's see how it can possibly move also as well. Next one is Century Food. Century Food also is trying to stay above the support level at around 16.9 pesos per share. So why am I saying this? Should the CNPF hold and stay above 16.9, you can see the stock move to around 18.5 pesos per share. The stock short, mid, and long term is bullish. I'll repeat it. CNPF, the stock short, mid, and long term is relatively bullish as of this point. A bounce from 16.9 would bring the stock to 18.47, 18.5. If it does not hold 16.92, it could probably go down over the short term to 16.5. But all indicators are still showing that the stock is relatively bullish still. To tell you true, I've already posted PLDT. Just backtrack the video after this gets uploaded also. Another stock which IPO'd, I'm sorry about that, which IPO'd early this year. Let's look at, oh, Cemex is not loading. Okay, not loading. Wait. Okay, let's look at, I promised another letter C stock. Let's look at Century Properties instead. Century Properties, not so good over the short term. After all the hype from the Trump win, we're seeing the stock break down from the short, mid, and long term. The strongest support that would have protected the stock was around 0.55, but that's what it broke just last trading day. So should the breakdown continue, it could possibly go down to around 0.5. I repeat, should the breakdown of CPG continue, the stock could go down to 0.5. If 0.5 does not hold, CPG could go down to 0.48 pesos per share. Next stock is DMC. Where is DMC? DMC just bounced off a support level at 12.7. The stock over the mid to long term is relatively bullish, which places it at a better condition compared to other stocks. I repeat it, the stock bounced from 12.75. Because of that bounce, we have an upside target of around 13.8 pesos per share. So we expect a possible resistance as the stock hits 13.8. For those who bought at 12.7, if it does not break out from 13.7 or 13.8, you may also consider taking profits on the stock. However, for position traders, we don't have any sell signal yet. The stock is still bullish, short, mid, and long term. So for those who would want to maximize your earnings, should it break out from 13.7, 13.8, DMCI could be a long hold also for you for the short term. Next, probably three more stocks. We'll have Max, JFC, and Metro Gaisano. So let's look at Metro Gaisano first, and Max Fried Chicken. So consumption stocks. Okay, Max is quite in a pickle right now. The strongest support for Max is around 25.8. I repeat, the strongest support for Max is 25.8, which last trading day, the stock closed at around 25.7. So if Max fails to stay above 25.8, the stock might be bound for a longer correction over the short to mid-term. Max is still correcting over the short to mid-term. Max is still in a downward trend. But if it fails to go and stay above 25.8, we might see the stock correct to around 22 or 22.85 pesos over the short term. So we have no buy signals as of this point. Should it bounce from 25.85, quick traders could buy the bounce and probably sell at around 27.8 as well. So but trade it wisely. You don't want to catch stocks that are falling. You don't want to buy falling knives as well. So next stock is Metro Gaisano. Let's see. Metro Gaisano, Metro Retail. Okay, Metro Retail is forming a similar pattern to as most of the stocks are in the market. The stock is bearish, short, mid, and long term. All oscillators are still showing you that it's bearish as of this point. It's forming a support though at around 3.5 pesos per share. So should Metro Gaisano hold 3.5 pesos per share, it could possibly have a bounce that could bring it to 4 over the short term. And if it breaks out from 4, a possible breakout from 4 is could bring it to 4.5 pesos per share. So I repeat, the stock over the short to mid and long term is bearish. It needs to, if it bounces from 3.5, the stock would go up to 4. 4 represents 17.4% gain. If it breaks above 4, it can go to 4.5. 4.5 is the strongest resistance as of this point, but if it goes above 4.5, the stock will now become bullish once again. And lastly, before I go to Jollibee, I'd like, since I'm in M already, let's do MCP. Let's do Melco, since we're here. Melco is relatively sideways over the short term. The trading range for Melco would be around 4 to around 4.4. So should the stock stay above 4, it could bounce around 4.4. It could be a quick trade for all of you. But however, if it does not hold 4, the stock would go around and drop to 3.95 to as low as 3.6. And the lowest is around 3.22, where the strongest support is. I repeat, if Melco does not hold above 4, it can go down to 3.9 to 3.7 to as low as 3.22. But should it bounce up for a tradable range for you will be from 4 to around 4.4 pesos per share over the short term. So I hope that helps you. Then lastly, let's go to Jollibee. Jollibee is also bearish. All indicators are showing that the stock is bearish. Strongest resistance for the stock where the strongest selling will be around 235 pesos per share. That's where the strongest resistance is. The stock will only turn bullish if it bounces off and breaks out of 235 pesos per share. For those who are planning to do quick trades, the stock is oversold. It needs to bounce from 200. Should a bounce from 210 happen, and should it hold 210, the stock would possibly go up for the short term to 220 pesos per share. So I guess that's it for now. Let me look at the index for all of you. For those who are buying FMETF, for those who are into mutual funds, for those who are into how do I put this? For those who are into index funds as well, the index still is bearish. It's still under a downward progression that could possibly lead it to as low as 6.6 or to around 6.5, 6.6 levels. So for position traders, we don't have any buy for the PSEI. We don't have any indications yet of a reversal. I'll update you more soon should there be any movement, but the stock is still in a midterm downtrend, and it's out already from the long term from the long-term uptrend that which brought the market higher over the past few years. So we have no reversals yet for the index. It could still go down to 6.5, 6.6 levels over the short term. For those who are asking in the video about the Shakey's IPO, I'm gonna create a video. Just stay tuned to my YouTube channel where I'm gonna analyze some and give you my inputs about Shakey's. So I guess that's it. It's already 12:30 a.m. For those who have work tomorrow, I hope this has helped you. For those who are new to stocks, also, I hope this video has helped you. So that's what I always say: trade well, trade strong, trade smart. For those who are attending Stock Smarts in Manila this December 3 and 10, I hope to see you there. So God bless you and have a great night ahead. So see you all